Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 447. My name's Adam Patterson. And with me today we have Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's all right. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. It's okay.
Oh boy.
Oh
boy.
Yeah.
This
This
guy.
week on the show, we'll be reviewing Phil Tippett's Mad God, now on Shudder. We'll also be going over some of watching on the watch list, and covering this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be very helpful. We are recording the new Saved by the 90s tonight, so expect that to be dropping maybe this week or next. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure that I'll make an announcement about it. We are doing comic strip movies. So movies adapted from comic book strips, or comic strips rather. That includes Dennis the Menace with Walter Matthau.
Nice.
It includes The Phantom with Billy Zane.
Fucking Billy Zane.
Yep. Can you believe Billy Zane was once a superhero?
Billy Zane.
What's
Billy Zane doing now?
Billy effing Zane. I just saw him actually in something. I think it was,
Zane.
you know what it was? I think he was in an episode of The Boys. Pretty sure that's where I saw him.
Incredible.
We're also talking about the Addams Family, the first one. We covered the second one, Addams Family Values, on a previous episode. We're going back and covering the first one this month. And Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy.
Let me just tell you something. Dick Tracy holds up.
Does it?
Oh, man.
Are you sure?
Oh, dude, it was a blast. All right, let's talk about Mad God. I have a synopsis here. A corroded diving bell descends amidst a ruined city, and the assassin emerges from it to explore a labyrinth of bizarre landscapes inhabited by freakish denizens. This is written and directed by Phil Tippett. And this is the kind of movie where I think that the backstory of it, the making of it, is almost more interesting than the movie itself. Because this is a movie
100%.
This is a movie that took 30 years to make, which is pretty wild. Like he's been shooting this off and on over the course of 30 years. So in between now, if you're not familiar with Phil Tippett, he's a prolific visual effects artist. He's did the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, for God's sake. Like the guy, he did huge movies. Like he's a pioneer in stop motion animation.
Yeah, dude's titan.
Yeah. In between doing, paying the bills, working on movies like RoboCop and Starship Troopers and Jurassic Park and the Star Wars movies and the Twilight saga. Not sure what he did in those movies, but I thought all that stuff was like CG. But anyway, in between working on big Hollywood movies, he was sort of quietly working on this small practical effects driven stop motion film. I shouldn't say small because it's actually insanely large. But he employed a huge group of volunteers to sort of bring this world to life. And it's pretty impressive from like a technical standpoint. You see this. I mean, you could just look at the trailer and be like, "Holy crap, this looks insane." And it kind of is. The world that this takes place in is it's pretty wild. But the thing that I had a hard time with this movie was just the narrative itself. Like, there's not really a plot. There is a loose narrative here, but it's just I just couldn't get engaged with this movie. I had a really hard time with it.
Oh, I'm right there with you, buddy.
It's just
it's like you said, it's one of those things where the backstory of it, like the actual making of, the 30 years that went into this, is far more interesting than the end product. And it's one of those shitty things too, because this coming from a titan of stop motion animation, for me, I wanted to like it so much more, and I feel bad because I'm like, man, this took you 30 years to make, and I just feel nothing for this. I'm just like that. It's almost a waste of time in some sense. Like, it's impressive. I'll give you that. There's no doubt about it. but at the same time, I like there's nothing here for me.
No, same. It's weird too. Like, so he shot this in like bits and pieces over the course of 30 years. So, like, he started working on it and then he stopped. He was shooting it on 35 millimeter and then he stopped. And I think that he let it go for like 20 years. So it's not like he was constantly working on it.
Yeah.
I think that there was a long break in there. Because I did watch an interview with him where he said that like he had like a his team of people and they were working on archiving stuff and they happened upon like the scenes that he shot for this and they were like his crew was like really into it and they were like you should finish this, you should like start up a Kickstarter, raise some funds and continue working on this, and that's exactly what he did. So back in like 2012 I want to say he started a Kickstarter. And I think at that time, the goal was to make short films, make it a series of short films, which he did. And then this is the final end product. So it combines the short films that he made with additional footage. I think that I read it's about 30 minutes of additional footage. So I think that is sort of the problem with this, is that it's a series of almost disjointed scenes that culminate to really nothing and amount to really nothing. And I think that that's the problem that I have with this movie. It's like Phil Tippett would just be living his life and then he would go to like a rummage sale or something and he would see something that looked kind of cool and it would give him an idea of something wild to make into like a scene of a movie, and then he would just do that and then fit it, like retrofit it into this story.
Yeah. And it's really difficult and tough in the sense of like I feel bad because of how long it took. You can tell that this, was obviously something of a passion project because you don't spend that much time trying to make a stop motion feature length film. And to read too that, he said he had a mental breakdown at one point and had to go to a psych ward and it took him, like 3 months to recover. Like that, like he put so much into this
Yeah.
and there's a part of me knowing all that information and as I'm sitting there and watching it, I'm just like, why did you do this to yourself?
Yeah, but at the same time, it'd be one thing if like he was the only person working on this, but when you see the credits of this, it's a huge crew of people that he had.
Yeah.
And I also saw an interview with him where they asked the interviewer asked like, "Did you do any of the animation yourself?" And he was like, "No." So it's not like he was even really like he said he did some of it, but his crew of volunteers did most of the heavy lifting. So it's
Incredible.
it's it's not like it's like once you get to a certain level, you
Yeah.
just any
It's like
artist,
Ai Weiwei.
yeah,
It's like Ai
exactly,
Weiwei. Like he's not painting all those fucking things.
right,
What was it, like sunflower seeds or whatever the fuck it was? Like he's not doing it. He has the team of people that he probably doesn't pay that well. They're fucking painting that shit, and he gets all the recognition.
right. Which is actually it sucks, but it's just how it works. Like I understand that. I'm not criticizing Phil Tippett for his methods or anything like that. Just to be clear, but
Yeah, I just feel a lot better now, not liking it.
yeah,
Now that you told me.
I mean he did do a lot of I imagine the bulk of like the design work and like just putting together the scenes and stuff were probably all his from his mind. And it's wild. Like there's some really crazy scenes in this. It's definitely like nightmare fuel. There's like really crazy creatures and it sort of combines like technology with biology. So it's like almost got this like Tetsuo the Iron Man kind of vibe to it at times. It feels old to me. Like I feel I
Yeah,
feel
it
I feel
does.
like back in the like maybe 90s, like early 90s or something, we used to have more movies that had this sort of aesthetic, that sort of industrial, like I don't know, like Terry, like Gilliam-esque.
Yeah, there's a lot of plumbing and a lot of wetness,
Yeah,
a
steam
lot
and
of
everything's super
leaking
dark.
pipes. It's just I there was a part of me that as I was watching this, and I'm thinking, okay, this is again coming back to the culmination of 30 years of work. However true that might be, but the painstaking work put into this for stop motion animation, and I'm kind of sitting there, you kind of realizing this nightmare world and all this stuff going on, and I'm just thinking, looking at the screen, like, okay, so like the main idea is just stop motion piss and shit. Is that what
Yeah,
that's kind of like the main focus? Because there's a ton of piss and shit in this movie.
yeah, there is a lot of bodily functions and people getting smushed and like ground into paste, and
Yeah.
it's a pretty gross movie. Yeah,
Most of the people that get smushed are made from piss and shit.
made from shit. They're like little shit drones that they're like little, I don't know, slaves, I guess. Like what?
Yeah.
And then they just get mashed up and re
Yeah, because
uh,
like that's just like a whole like 20-minute sequence of just
of these like
different ways of them dying.
yeah, these like gross little shit dolls getting killed in different ways, which begs the question, like why, like what is the
Yeah.
point of like creating these things and then like devising elaborate ways to kill them? Like don't you just want them working on whatever you're working on? And I think that's the other problem I had with this, is that like you have all these moving parts and all these things that go together where you'll see like one of these one of these creatures getting made, and then you'll see them be put to work, and they're like, doing hammering things or doing something else, and then they get killed, and like their liquefied remains go into something else to do something else, and it's like all this very like clockwork like kind of system that's happening in this like subterranean world, but it's like, to what end? Like I don't understand what any of it's for.
Yeah,
Like
and I
what's the
think
purpose of the of these machines and these like assembly lines and stuff?
and I and I think that's the thing here that's really confusing, because there's a part of me that wants to say that the world building is impressive in the sense that it's built and see it, and it's pretty intricate, right? Just visually, and it exists. But on the other hand, the world building is absolutely terrible because I have no idea what this world is. I don't know what's going on. There's so many layers to it because that thing descended for ages. We only spend time down in the bottom layers for the majority of this movie, and I just like I have no understanding of anything about this world.
And I think that's where it becomes really problematic, because it almost goes out of its way to disengage you from what you're watching.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good point because there is another like 15-minute stretch of just a baby crying.
Oh yeah.
That's it. It's just a baby crying.
That's like I think that the baby crying thing is like one of the architects of like part of that world. I think that was the person who I don't know. I struggle to try, like I want to make sense of it.
Yeah,
Like as far as I can tell, there's like some kind of war, and the assassin gets sent down to blow up the
yeah,
area.
but you've also know that they've been doing this and failing, however many times,
Well, when he gets
because there's so many
right,
suitcases.
when he gets to where he's supposed to plant this bomb, he sees that it's just like mountains of suitcases from assassins before him, and then like he gets
The
caught.
thing that comes,
Yeah, he gets
it's it,
he gets caught by this creature and then like dissected while he's still alive, like, but it's like for an audience, but like the stuff that they pull out of him is like books and stuff.
and I think that's a thing for me that doesn't work in that regard is that I find myself in the midst of watching it, and then after watching it, I have no interest in trying to figure out anything and trying to decode anything. I was just like, okay, I'm moving on with my life
Yeah,
now that it's
that's how
over.
I felt too. Like with some movies that are a little obtuse, or clearly have subtext to them, and you don't like pick up on it right away. Sometimes you'll stew with it for a while. You'll try to figure out what the meaning was behind specific scenes or lines or whatever. And with this movie, I just don't even think that it was there. I just think that it was a series of like horrifying encounters, and what you see is what you get, I think.
Yeah, I think Phil Tippett might know,
Yeah, I think Phil
but
Phil knows. Phil knows what's up.
no, maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's why he was in the psych ward.
Yeah, I
See
mean,
if
he
we can
might have
figure
just
it out.
wanted to. He might have just wanted to animate some really cool looking, gross stuff, and throw it all together.
Yeah, just a bunch of piss and shit.
Just
Piss,
got
piss and shit.
monsters,
Stop motion.
creatures with giant human teeth, and he mixes in some live action too. There's like some live action scenes.
Yeah, yeah. Hey Phil, what are we animating today? Piss and shit, guys.
Oh God.
They just look at it. He leaves the room because he's done. He's going to drink.
Piss and
He
shit,
leaves the
guys.
room, and these guys they're like fucking piss and shit again. It's like the seventh fucking day. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Anyway, that's Mad God. Unfortunately, I really wasn't into it. I can't recommend it.
No, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the animation's good, but I mean, that's really all we're working with here. What are you gonna give it out of
Yeah,
10?
man, I don't know. Yeah, again, this is another tough one where you're like, because you know the work that goes into making something like this, but at the same time, like it's impressive, but it's not impressive. But it's also impressive because it's not impressive with how impressive it is inherently. So I'm like a two, maybe a two. That seems too high, but also too low.
It's a movie that I just don't really want to revisit again ever. And the other thing is, this movie took me like a day and a half to get through. I stopped it due to work reasons, had nothing to do with the movie, but then like it took me a long time to like force myself to get back to it after I took a
Yeah, I could
break.
see that. I
And
could definitely see this being a movie that if you stop it, you're probably not coming back
yeah,
to it.
yeah. It feels really long too. It's like an hour and 23 minutes, which is actually pretty long for an animated movie. Like most animated movies are not quite that long. It's rough. I'm probably sitting at like a man, I don't know. I'm probably sitting at like a two and a half as well on this one. I just couldn't get into it. Like it's got some cool stuff, I guess, but even that was like really rough for me to get through.
Yeah. I'm just now remembering the extended sequences of two monkeys just screaming at each other and hitting each other with shovels.
Yeah, it's just
Taking a break from shoveling what? Shit. Piss and
piss and
shit.
shit. There we go.
Piss and shit. Guys, we're animating two monkeys today. What are the monkeys doing, Tippet? They're shoveling shit and piss. Like fucking hell, Phil. God
Uh,
damn it.
it should be noted that he's still like getting. I mean, he worked on like the newer. He worked on the Boba Fett show on Disney Plus. Like he's still got a tremendously great career, and I don't want my thoughts on this movie to be any kind of reflection on my opinions of Phil Tippett, because I think that he's like
But yeah, no, it's just kind of fun to think about in terms of like to me, I'm thinking like all the big stuff that he's doing. He's always going, to like George Lucas or Disney or whoever, and he's like, "How about a scene? There's piss and shit, right?" And they're just like, "Phil, no, Phil, we're not doing this, Phil."
he's always trying to sneak
And
in a creature that's pissing or shitting or dealing with it in one of the Disney movies,
then,
Star Wars.
and then he's at home doing his, Mad God thing, and that's him playing the role of Mad God. And he's like, "This is my vision. There's gonna be so much fucking piss and shit. Everything pissing, shitting, nothing but piss and shit.
Just
No one can
piles.
stop me. No one can say no." He's at the
Uh,
psych ward. They're like, "What's up with this guy? He just says piss and shit. That's all he does."
oh my god, that's so funny. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about some of what we've been watching. I think it might be your turn this week. We'll start it with you.
Okay. I did another M Night Shyamalan because I wanted some comfort, and I've always wanted to see that happening. It was much like Signs, where like I didn't catch it when it came out in 2008, and I was like, man, I kind of want to see that. And this has a pretty great opening. I got to say, I thought the opening was just fantastic. It's atmospheric, and it culminates with some really disturbing imagery, like the people walking off of the top of the skyscraper to their deaths. Like it just, I mean, to me, it seemed far more nightmarish than most M. Night Shyamalan movies are. Like, it just felt like just more disturbing, really. Um, but then it's immediately ruined by, and I just feel like this movie would work far better if those two were not involved in any way, because their deliveries and their facial expressions turn this more into like an unintentional comedy than anything else. You have Wahlberg doing his classic line readings, which is mostly just him out of breath and kind of doing these like case in point. The early he plays a teacher too, which great. Let's do a teacher thing with Mark Wahlberg, and he's like, "Hey guys, you read about this article?" And he goes the whole thing like that's just funny as shit. Just everything that he does really is funny as hell. And then Zoe Deschanel, her facial expressions in this look like that of a person that has just gained sentience in the midst of the scene. Like that body was just thrust into life as we know it in that exact moment in time. There just happened to be a camera there, and that body happened to be in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Because I don't know what the hell she's doing. This is just a bad movie. It's so bad. The only other thing I will say about this that I think is very odd to me is that like the hook twist to this movie, that you usually see in a Shyamalan film, the way that the explanation for what's happening is just kind of dropped by like a random character, where he's like, yeah, it's this, it's the plants, and then he goes on this like gives all these detailed explanations of like plant defense mechanisms. And then just a little bit later, Wahlberg's like, "Hey, maybe it is the plants," and then that's it. But the whole logistics of the movie, where he's kind of coming down to the like, oh, it's about group size. That shit doesn't make any sense in the slightest.
Yeah, I never
Because
saw this,
when
but I
yeah,
did know the twist.
it's just because he's like, oh, there's too many of us. If we stay in a small group, it won't affect us. But the number that's in his group where it doesn't affect him is the same number of people that are in the John Leguizamo group, and they die. So it makes no fucking sense.
Well, yeah, I heard nothing but bad things about this, so I never sought it out.
You kind of want to watch it though.
I've seen
It's
I've
Wahlberg.
seen bits and pieces of it.
Wahlberg. Wahlberg is something else. Just his acting is bad.
Yeah, I feel like he's gotten better over the years. I saw Spiderhead. This is new on Netflix. It came out this past weekend. Directed by Joseph Kaczynski. It's the guy who recently did Top Gun Maverick. So he's had a pretty big couple of weeks, I guess you could say. This one stars Chris Hemsworth as this scientist who is leading these experiments that are in this kind of experimental prison program where they take prisoners and reduce their sentences and let them stay in this like really nice lab like facility in order to do these like drug trials basically. And Miles Teller's in here, and Journey Smollett's in here, and it's like the drugs basically alter your mood. So like they can make you feel different things like anger, lust, love. So like they kind of mess with your emotions. And of course there's like things bubbling under the surface here. There's secrets and betrayals and all of that stuff. and Miles Teller has to figure out like what's going on. And the only thing that I'll say about this that I liked was the fact that there wasn't some like really long build up to get to the lab and begin the experiments. The movie opens with the characters already being part of the program for a while. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But other than that, it's pretty predictable, pretty just typical sci-fi thriller stuff. Nothing really new here, nothing too interesting. There's this really obnoxious like 80s soundtrack where they're just hammering you over the head with like all of this like 80s easy listening type stuff that I thought was just a little too much. Hemsworth produces this, and he also plays a bit of a nut in it. He's like kind of he sort of like takes the role of like a tech billionaire type, like an eccentric tech billionaire, Elon Musk type,
Yeah.
and he's fine in it. Miles Teller's good in it. Journey Smollett's good in it. Everybody else is fine. It's just a really typical Netflix thing. Like, I would not recommend it. It's nothing to write home about. It really doesn't add anything to the conversation.
I have the only other thing I saw was Tiebreaker. This is from 2015, although it never played anywhere, right? So it's now getting a very very small run at a Spectacle Theater in New York, and it'll be playing there this Wednesday, the 22nd. It's also played a couple of times, but by the time this airs, you know, that's the
Mm-hmm.
it's the only time you'll get to see it. This is directed by Mark Andelman and Andre Puka. This is co-written and directed by those two. Andre Puka is one half of the movies that he directed with Ahmed Kawaja that were featured on Unsung Indies. So this is him doing a movie without Ahmed, and it's a no budget indie slice of life style production. Really, really, the what was the I'm trying to think of the name of the movie that we watched for Slam Dance that was super low budget. It's like Don't Yell Fire in a Theater or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's along those lines. It's along that line, right? Really low budget. So if that type of production is not your cup of tea, then this is definitely not for you. Now, if you are into those types of movies, it's worth a look. The acting, though, as usual, is a little bit inconsistent, but at sometimes it does add charm to the movie, but not always. There's some scenes where it feels off, and then there's other scenes where it clicks and it works. So that's what you're gonna get with a no budget. It's definitely aimless, but obviously that's kind of the point. And it overall it has its moments, but a lot of it I could take or leave. But there are two moments in particular. There is an extended back and forth sequence, kind of like a montage set to music, where Mark is attending Andre's and his girlfriend's party. It's like a work party type deal. It's cut in between that and Mark's father cutting it up on the ballroom dance floor. His dad's all into dancing, so they drive into Manhattan. He goes to the ballroom to dance, and Mark goes to his friend's like work party type deal. That's a nice sequence. And then there's another extended sequence of Mark and his father going to visit the grave of their mother slash wife, and just like sitting in front of the gravestone and talking to her, getting her up to date with everything that's going on. It's kind of emotional, which was kind of surprising given everything that happens in the rest of the movie. So, again, if you're into the no budget type deal, it's worth a look. If you're not into that, just stay clear, because this isn't the one that's gonna win you
Mm.
over. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm. 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 All right. The last one that I'll recommend, or not recommend, the last one that I saw was Jerry and Marge Go Large. This came out this past weekend, I think, on Paramount Plus, and it's directed by David Frankel, stars Bryan Cranston and Annette Bening, Rainn Wilson is in there, as is Larry Wilmore. This is a true story. It's a comedy. It's a very light comedy. It tells the true story about this guy. He's a bit of a math nut, and he recently retires, and he just happens to be at his favorite convenience store one day, and he takes a look at the lotto. The lottery is running this like special game called like Windfall or something. And he looks at the odds and he looks at like how the payouts work and all that stuff, runs some calculations, and he figures out that there's a flaw in the design of this lottery game where if you bet a certain amount or more, you will win. Like there's the probability is always going to be in your favor and you will always make money. So what he does is he tries it out first to make sure it works. And then he starts and he tells his wife, and the two of them sort of rekindle their love for one another by this kind of shared experience, this shared hobby of playing the lottery and winning tons and tons of money. And then he sets up a business and he brings in basically everybody from his little town as shareholders in this business, and he uses the money that he wins from the lottery to like completely revitalize this little town. And it's just a wholesome little comedy. I don't really have too many criticisms about it. I didn't like the music. The score was like a little iffy, but it's just a fun light comedy. The reason that I watched this, full disclosure, is that I actually know someone who's in this movie. Shout out,
Oh
shout out,
yeah.
Lindsay. Um, yeah. So this played Tribeca. This premiered at Tribeca. I didn't get a chance to see it at Tribeca because I didn't cover Tribeca this year. But um, when I saw that it was dropping on Paramount Plus, I decided to give it a look. And Lindsay's great in it, by the way. She plays this. She plays a bank teller. So great job, Lindsay, if you're listening to this. Yeah, it's pretty good overall. It's a cute little movie. There's not a lot of conflict here. There's some conflict that they introduce, but it's just, I don't know if that happened in real life, but basically this like Harvard kid, he also figured out that he found the loophole also. And then the two of them were like competing with each other, and he tried to like sabotage him and stuff. But I don't know if that actually happened in real life or not, but it felt almost like a manufactured conflict just to sort of introduce something in this
Yeah.
movie. But other than that, it's Rainn Wilson's pretty funny in it. He plays the owner of the convenience store where they buy the tickets, and they have to buy like thousands of tickets. So it's like it's kind of crazy how big their operation grows. And it wasn't like illegal or anything like that. It was completely above the board. And he ends up making like $23 million from it. So yeah,
Jesus.
it's pretty wild. It's a pretty crazy story. So I don't know. If you have Paramount Plus, give it a look because it's included in your subscription. Otherwise, like for
Yeah.
me, it was kind of just like a middle of the road, just a nice breezy little comedy.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna say that I don't have Paramount Plus. So what should I do? What would your advice be to someone that doesn't
I
have
would say
Paramount
if
Plus?
you don't have Paramount Plus and it eventually comes out on some other platform, maybe give it a look.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I would spend a large sum of money on renting this on VOD. I mean, it's worth like a $4 VOD rental.
Okay.
It's just a
Interesting.
fun, like, it's Bryan Cranston and Annette Bening. They have really good chemistry on screen. I
Yeah.
like their relationship on screen. Both great actors. But it's just like it's not like a knee slapper of a comedy either. It's just very cute. It's just a very pleasant movie. That's why I didn't like the score because it almost makes it a little bit too sentimental, I guess. Like it reminds me of a lot of those kind of comedies that would come out in like the early aughts and stuff. But David Frankel, I mean, this is the guy who did The Big Year and Hope Springs and The Devil Wears Prada and Marley and Me. So he's kind of, done these types of movies before. recently he did that
Yeah.
Inventing Anna for Netflix, which I didn't see, but I heard
Yeah.
was pretty good. Let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. Got a couple biggies here. Elvis is one of
Oh
them.
yeah.
This movie
No.
looks so bad to me. So bad. Have you seen trailers for this?
Uh, tiny bits and pieces. This just looks terrible to me. This just looks like maybe the worst thing.
Yeah, it looks so atrociously bad to me. We also have the Black Phone coming out. Now, this one I actually am interested in. Yeah, this is the new Scott Derrickson one
I had never heard of this. This is the first I'm learning about it.
with Ethan Hawke,
Okay.
horror movie.
Interesting.
I'm a little pumped for this one. VOD this week on the 21st, we have The House in Between Part 2. I think that's a horror
Ooh,
movie.
part two. I didn't know there was a part one.
Nor did I, but it's after Alice Jackson left her home due to a profound paranormal experience. World renowned paranormal investigator Steve Gonzalez
Oh,
takes the case. I think it might be like actually a documentary, quote unquote.
okay.
I think maybe he's like one of those ghost hunters guys or something. I think he's the one we met, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This just to give you a heads up, the first one is on Tubi. If you
Uh
want to get
oh.
yourself caught up on the house in between.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Oh.
I watched one of those. That one that was the same one you watched, like the
Yeah,
house,
that one's just so bad.
the Devil House or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay, this is the last one of these like
yeah.
ghost hunter movies that I'm gonna bother with.
It's
And
essentially all it is. The majority of these, although I haven't seen the house in between, but I can imagine that it's a TV episode stretched out into a movie.
yeah, yeah, I think that that's what it is. I did watch the trailer for this when I was adding it, and that's what it looks like to me. We also have Cyst coming out.
Oh boy, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it looks like it's a throwback kind of body horror movie.
God.
It actually looks pretty interesting. It is definitely like a horror comedy that I think that it takes place in like this maybe the 60s, 70s, 80s somewhere. It's not a modern film. It looks like visually it looks like it could be pretty good. I'm not going to watch it, but I kind of like what they're going for there. On the 22nd, we have Chernobyl The Lost Tapes. That's on HBO. That's a documentary. I guess they uncovered a whole slew of like new footage surrounding the, Chernobyl disaster, so that could be interesting.
Huh.
On the 22nd we have Love and Gelato. That's going to be on Netflix.
Okay.
On the 24th, we have a big one here, at least for me, and that's Flux Gourmet. This is
Oh, it's the new Strickland, right?
yes, this is the new one from Peter Strickland, who I'm a huge fan of. So I will
Uh,
be checking this one out immediately.
I
Maybe I
was
can
gonna
convince you to check this one out too. We can
Well,
cover it.
it sounds like it because the only other option is cyst, and I don't think we want to do that.
No, we're not
I'm
going to do
not. No,
Cyst.
I'm not.
Although honestly, it doesn't look bad. Cyst is not going to be for.
Yeah, this is just something like no offense to you as a movie, but I can't.
Yeah, yeah. We also have The Human Trial. That's a documentary. We got Wildhood, which is on Hulu. Not sure too much about that. We got The Man from Toronto. That's going to be on Netflix. That's looks like an action comedy with Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson.
Mm,
Like we haven't seen that before.
interesting.
Yeah, I think Woody Harrelson plays like an assassin or something. It's just it's a story we've seen many times before. We also have Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is also kind of like a throwback horror movie that is sort of an homage to
Mm-hmm.
60s and 70s European
Mm-hmm.
cinema. So this one could be interesting. I don't know. I have
It
not seen
could
the
be. I
trailer
mean,
for.
a woman inherits a castle. Come on,
I do like some gothic horror. So
come on.
I have not seen the trailer for this or anything, so I don't know. It,
Great
it's
poster.
like they're. Now I do like the poster. I've seen that. There's just a really specific. I think there's specific requirements for movies like that. Like if you're going for that, you need to like adhere to certain criteria, and I
Yeah.
think that it's hard to do unless you have either like a really nice budget or like a lot of talent and a lot of really talented people working with the project. I think Peter Strickland actually is really good at crafting something like that. But
Yeah, I feel like you got to take advantage if you get an opportunity and are allowed to film inside of a castle. You got to do it. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
Because if you get a castle, you got to take advantage of it, whether you're for the job or not.
yeah,
Just got to give it a shot.
yeah. Who knows? I'll check out the trailer for that at least, and maybe give it a look. We also have Bitter Brush. It's looks like some kind of like a western maybe.
Yeah.
We also
Interesting.
have Murder at Yellowstone City. It is looks like a crime thriller, but it also may be a western. I think that is
Oh,
also a western. We have Abandoned. This looks like a this is a thriller. This is with Emma Roberts and John Gallagher Jr. Yeah, it looks like maybe a horror movie. We have Press Play. This is I don't know what this is. Romance, rom-com maybe. And that's pretty much it for VOD. On Blu-ray this week, we have Fire in the Sky from 1993 coming out. This one has been on my to watch list for Saved by the 90s forever because this movie scared the absolute shit out of me when I was a kid, and I haven't revisited it since. So I really want to see it.
not
We
seen this, and
You have or you have not?
I have not, but I am instantly intrigued.
We have Giant coming out in 4K. That's from 1956. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Vampire's Kiss from 1988. That's the Nicolas Cage horror comedy. That's
Uh-huh.
coming out on
Uh-huh.
the MVD Rewind collection. If you haven't seen Vampire's Kiss,
You have
you
to.
you are missing out on like top tier Cage craziness.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
without a doubt.
definitely worth your time to see Vampire's Kiss.
It's just, I was just, it's just absolutely insane. That
Yeah, totally bonkers. I really like the MVD Rewind collection too, so I'm glad to see it out on that collection. Normally, I feel like they usually go for like '90s movies, but that's an exception. Uncle Sam from 1996. I think I can't. I don't know if that's the horror movie. I think that might be the horror movie. We got The Bad Guys coming out. That's the animated one that came out. Uh, I don't know, like a month ago or something. King Ralph from 1991.
okay.
I love King Ralph. Unabashedly love King Ralph. This is one of those. I can't remember the collection, but they make it look like like the Blu-ray cover looks like a VHS cover. Mill Creek Entertainment retro VHS collection. That's what it is. That's cool, I guess. The Brain from Planet Horus from 1957. Forced Entry from 1976. That looks like it's a Vinegar Syndrome. The Initiation of Sarah from 1978. Universal Soldiers coming out in 4K. That's the original 1992 one. Let's see what else we have here. Heart and Souls from 1993. That's also coming out on the Mill Creek Entertainment thing. Heart and Souls. That's with Robert Downey Jr. I just now remembered this movie's existence. And I remember liking this a lot as a kid, but I bet I would hate it now. Heart and Souls. Edge of Sanity from 1989. That's an Arrow release after Yang from earlier this year. Monday Morning from 1990. That's going to be one of the MVD Rewind collection releases. Also, Groupie from 2010. The Cellar from earlier this year. That's on Shudder, so you can check it out there. You Are Not My Mother. Gold with Zac Efron from earlier this year. Ip Man The Awakening, the 37th entry in the Ip Man series. Escape the Field, Bleeding Audio from 2020. That looks like all the major ones. What about Criterion's?
We got two. One's a big one. That's Gordon Parks' Shaft
Woo! Hell
from
yeah.
1971. Richard Roundtree. Everyone knows Shaft. You kidding me? I don't need to tell you about Shaft. And then Stanley Kwan's Rouge from 1987 Hong Kong movie.
All
Get
right,
Criterion
nice.
treat. Yeah, they're starting to get some Hong Kong movies in here.
I like that.
I like it too. Branching out.
Hell yeah. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulse.net and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider giving us a review on iTunes. That would be much appreciated. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name is Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.